It's a new month, and that means the sales totals are in for the month of February as we enter into March. And what if I told you Hyundai, Mazda, Toyota, Honda, they are all absolutely crushing it, selling at all-time highs, especially with electrified vehicles. So let's get into it. Starting at automotive news, but then we're going to head on over to Honda, Mazda, Subaru, Hyundai, and Kia. They all have totals for us for the month of February, so we'll be able to break down each individual model. Actually, it's going to be quite a bit of fun. If you guys are into this nerdy sales breakdown on a monthly basis, make sure you hit the like button, first of all. And second of all, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss quarter one sales, right? At the end of March, so early April, we'll have the tally for quarter one sales, and we'll have so many more automakers giving us sales numbers. Today, we just have a few, all right? Ford is supposed to be posting in about a week, and Volvo is supposed to be posting later as well, but the rest post quarterly. And in fact, Toyota posts quarterly, but somehow Automotive News is able to extract information from them on a monthly basis. If you go to the press room, there's no sales information. So that's why we're starting here. We're going to start with Toyota, the largest automaker in the world. So the headlines say inventory surge. That's a great thing. Why are inventory surging? Well, microchip shortages and other shortages are pretty much over. Thank God. Demand is cooling, right? We have really high interest rates right now, and that's cutting into the affordability aspect from the buyer. We have big hybrids from Toyota and Honda and Hyundai, and Kia is slipping again. You know, I just saw my first EV9 on the road yesterday. Actually, no, it wasn't my first, but it was my second EV9 I saw on the road. And they just, at least the way it is right now, they have a ton of presence. They steal my eyes almost like a G-Wagon does. I'm not saying it's a G-Wagon. Don't confuse me. But in terms of the road presence, it is impressive with the EV9. The car market in February grew about 6%. And due to the cooling demand and high interest rates, the automakers have to incentivize cars more. We'll talk a little bit about that as well today. So sales at Toyota rose 16%, Honda 32%. Toyota reported sales of nearly 185,000 last month, with deliveries of electrified vehicles jumping 84% to 68,000. Okay, I mean, just doing some basic math, 68,000 divided by 184, it's roughly a third, right? But it's more than a third. It's roughly 37% of their vehicles are electrified now. But that's going to take some big jumps very, very soon with the Camry going full hybrid. That will get them probably to like 40% at least of their total sales as electrified. A year later, the Rav4 is supposed to be 100% electrified as well, with hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and possibly fully electric Rav4s out there. That's just the scoop I'm getting. We'll see if that happens. But if that's the case, that's really going to push the envelope past 50%. Who knows? The next Corolla could be fully hybrid as well. I talked about that in a different video. So volume rose 16% at Toyota and 17% at Lexus, both of them doing pretty well right now. Check this out. Sales of Prius hybrid, which was just launching a year ago, the sales rose 363% in February. And the Rav4 deliveries, well, specifically the Rav4 hybrid deliveries, jumped 236% to 20,513. So the hybrid sales are really ratcheting up for Toyota. Thank God we're finally getting that Prius volume. But Automotive News doesn't tell us the actual volume here, unfortunately, for the Prius. They just tell us percentage. If I look back at last year, the Prius was down like 40% compared to the year prior. So we're going to take a rough estimate here. We're going to divide that by 3. They were selling about roughly 1,500 per month in the first quarter of last year. If we multiply that by 3.63, was it 360%? They're selling 5,556 units of the Prius. If we multiply that by 12, it's 66,000. It's still not where they need to be, but we're in the right direction. I want to say last year they only sold like 30,000 units of the Prius. It was extremely low. So at least from the time right now, it looks like we're going to have double the availability of the Prius by the end of the year. That doesn't mean it's going to be widely available. I still think that the Prius is an extremely desirable vehicle, and the demand is going to stay around for quite a while. Rav4 hybrid deliveries jumped 236% to 20,513. If we look at the first quarter last year, if we look at Rav4 hybrids, check this out. They completely sunk in 2023 from 2022. They were down 50%. It looks like Toyota is not only recovered from the lack of volume in 2023, they might be passing the volume on the Rav4 hybrid for 2022 improvements, because we know how desirable that Rav4 hybrid is. If you can't get one, just go get a CR-V hybrid. They're a little bit more available, because Honda is selling more than half of their CR-Vs as full hybrid at this point. Outside of the hybrid, though, for the RAV4, the nameplate was up 44%, Camry up 7%, even though they're getting ready for like that switchover. But it's not a true switchover. It's more of like a refresh switchover with new bumpers, slightly different interior, right? And new lights. But the Corolla's up 22%, Tundra up 9%, Tacoma down 70%, right? Because the redesign is ramping up production down in Mexico at the two plants there. Combined sales of the Highlander and Grand Highlander crossovers totaled 18,969. If we look at the first quarter of last year for the Highlanders, 55,000 divided by 3, it's 18,000. And that was down 16% from the year before. So they're roughly producing the same amount of Grand Highlander and Highlanders combined as they were Highlanders last year. So it's kind of flat in sales, I would say. Toyota's inventory right now is 230,000 vehicles over a 31-day supply. A year ago, it was about 100,000 less at 134,000. Before we get into the brands that we have sales volume for individual models, just to look at the score sheet here. Acura down so far this year, 2 straight months in the red in sales, down 6% in February, down 7.5% overall. It's not looking good for them for the beginning of the year. Honda up 38%, riding the desirability of their hybrids. Remember, Acura doesn't have any hybrids, and their fully electric ZDX is launching in a few months. So they have no electrified options right now in the Acura lineup. Could that be hurting them? Could be. If we look at Genesis, they keep crushing it. They keep growing. I think they just posted a best February ever. Hyundai up 6%. Kia down 3%. They're starting to slide. The Rio is gone from the lineup. The desirability of the K5 is down right now, and I think that's hurting, their entry-level models a little bit. Mazda up 6%. They're up 17% on the year. Subaru up 3%. I mean, these numbers are starting to come down, but Honda, Toyota, Lexus looking really, really strong right now, especially with Honda. But you got to keep in mind, Honda's 2022, 2023, they were really badly hit. So they're just getting their volume up to where it should be, in my opinion. All right, speaking of Honda, let's get into this. Honda's electrified sales set a February record of 20,681 units. CR-V was up 99% with a record of hybrid sales. HR-V up 45%. I'm seeing new HR-Vs everywhere. We just need a hybrid on the HR-V Honda, and then we're cooking now. That's the same. I could say the same thing for all of Honda's lineup. It's really surprising they have no hybrids on the new Pilot. Watch my Pilot for 2025 update video that I made yesterday. There's no hybrid on the Odyssey, the Passport, the Ridgeline. It's interesting. If they had hybrids on those, could you imagine how much more demand they'd be pulling for their whole lineup, especially with the HR-V and the Civic getting the hybrids soon? But despite no hybrids in their large vehicle lineup, it looks like they're all up double digits compared to January. But we're going to compare from February to February here in a little bit. Accord Hybrid also posted record February sales. Now into the individual car sales and model sales, we're going to be looking at these two columns. They did a lot of comparisons versus January, Honda, right? They got to boost themselves up, but I really want to focus on February versus February. That gives us a real idea. Now, February in 2024 had one more selling day thanks to leap year. compared to February 2023. So that's why the daily selling rate is not going to be as big as a month over month change. But I typically focus on the month over month change percentage, which is this column right here. Accord up 22% on the month, 14,000 units. Civic up massive, 36%. Can't wait for that hybrid to come this summer. CRV up 100%, let's just call it. It's doubled in sales compared to last February. HRV up 45% compared to last February. Odyssey, here's the thing. Odyssey is down 10%. Passport down 32%. Ridgeline down 14%. Pilot's the only one up on their large platform that's up massively. Well, up at all, but it is up massively, 33%. And the Pilot's still new, right? It's the second model year as we go into 2025 of this new, where we fourth generation Pilot. I wonder, right? I can't help but to think how much the Odyssey, the Passport, and the Ridgeline would benefit from having hybrids. Hybrid pickup trucks, I think they would do really, really well with the Ridgeline, especially if Honda can squeeze, 30 plus miles a gallon out of it. But don't know. It's all quiet on the large platform front for hybrids for Honda. All right, Integra down 17%. That's not good. That's one of their volume sellers from their sedan lineup. TLX down 26%. Yikes. MDX down 22%. That's their number one. That's their cash cow. That's our number one seller. And for that to be down 22%, that is a kick in the pants. RDX up 54% though. RDX sales almost overtaking MDX sales, but Acura is down 6% on the month of February and down 9%. If you look at it on a daily selling rate, they're down 10%. Yikes. So Honda going really hard in the paint, selling and getting that volume up to really big levels. And Acura is not doing so hot right now. Can the ZDX help that out? I wouldn't get my hopes up on it. I'm really interested to see what's going to turn the tide for Acura right now with the demand. I mean, the RDX is getting a little long in the tooth at this point. And if they're able to come out with a new one with a Type S, that would definitely start getting some buzz around the RDX. All right, moving over to Mazda. Best ever February with 32,000 vehicles sold. CX-50 had its best February ever, and the CX-30 doubled that sales volume of the CX-50 with 10,000 units sold. All right, so we're going to get into month to date on the left here to see how they're doing in the month of February. Mazda 3 up 7%. And if you want to look at DSR, daily selling rate, it's going to be the lower numbers on this column. But yeah, the sedan and the hatchback are both up. MX-5 Miata, it's probably because it's down 44%, but it's probably mostly because of the switch over to the ND3 refresh. That would be my guess. CX-30 up 25%, doing really well there, up 36% on the year. CX-5 down 16%. Don't know why the volume is down there on their number one volume seller. Well, traditionally, right? Because the CX-30 is about ready to pass it. Fascinating. CX-9 rest in peace. CX-50 up 73%. Maybe that's why they're not flooding the market with a bunch of CX-5s, because the CX-50 is getting better volume. Which, by the way, I'm driving a CX-50 this week. I'm reviewing it. Probably going to do a nighttime review because I've already reviewed this CX-50 a couple times now, and I just want to do something different with it. So I'll probably do a nighttime review. I don't know what's going on here. C70 and C7 plug-in. It's almost like this is the CX-70 and the CX-70 plug-in hybrid. Are they already on sale? I know they announced pricing for them, but maybe they're on sale already, or I don't know what's going on. This is really throwing me for a loop. But the CX-90, how does this compare to the CX-9? Well, the CX-9 was actually outselling the CX-90 in the month of February. And if we look in the month or the year to date, it was actually outselling the CX-90 as well. Very, very interesting. But overall, Mazda doing pretty well, even though demand seems to be cooling a bit, with a total up 7% so far on the month and 18% on the year. Subaru, February sales up 3%, 19 consecutive months of continued yearly month-over-month growth and gain. Now, we might see some some shakeup here with Subaru in the next month. They had to shut down one of their plants in Japan due to a fatality. A guy got smashed by a press, a 60-year-old man. So that is really sad. And their plant was shut down for like a week. So we could see their sales volume go down as well next month as a result. Forester doing well. I heard Subaru is not doing that great outside of a few models. So let's get into what are the shining stars here. Well, the Forester was up 48% for the month, selling 14,000 units. It's their number one selling vehicle. The Crosstrek down 15%. That's surprising. BRZ down 33%, low volume car. I'm seeing a Sense everywhere right now. I'm not sure why, but that's down 14% on the month. The Impreza down 9% on the month. Legacy, I forget about the Legacy all the time. It is outside of the Solterra and the BRZ. It's their worst selling car. But Legacy down almost 20%. Outback up 14%. Solterra down 7%. So the Forester in the Outback are carrying the brand right now. Overall, they're positive, but not by much. And so far on the year, they're just barely positive by about 1,500 units, we'll say. But yeah, it's not looking good for most of the models unless you're the Forester in the Outback. The rest of them are down on the year. Switching over to the Koreans, Hyundai reports all-time high for February sales. Total sales up 6%. Battery electric retail sales jumped 24%. I'm also driving the Ioniq 6 this week. It's awesome. Such a good electric car. I've been choosing to drive that over the Mazda CX-50 pretty much every time I have a choice between the two. Sales record in February for the Tucson up 8%, Tucson plug-in hybrid up 280%. It's probably just a fire sale. I would say I don't know what's going on with the Tucson plug-in hybrid, but we know the Santa Fe with the new redesign. I will be driving the new Santa Fe for very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. But the plug-in hybrids for the Tucson and the Santa Fe, they're just so expensive and they don't give you a performance boost over their hybrid counterparts. And their range isn't that impressive either, around 30 miles of range, right? So they need to come out with a new plug-in hybrid as soon as possible. And that's why I think the new Santa Fe didn't launch with the plug-in hybrid, because they're not finished with finalizing yet. But I'm really excited once they do, because it's good. It could be a game changer. But yeah, the hybrid is up for the Tucson, the plug-in hybrid. The Palisade is up 16%. Kona EV up 15%. Their electrified vehicles grew 7%. And let's keep reading down here. We'll get into individual car sales. Elantra down 19%. Ioniq 5 down 5%. Well, that's on the year. Let's look at the month. The month is going to be right here. Kona up 16% with the new redesigned Nexo, fuel cell, whatever. Palisade up 16%. Santa Cruz down 10%. Even though people really want those, affordable entry-level pickup trucks, Hyundai still never gave the Santa Cruz the hybrid. And that's what all the journalists, I remember being at the Santa Cruz launch event. It was my first Hyundai event. It was awesome driving around Santa Cruz, California, obviously. But it was just like, hey, if it's based off the Tucson, where's the hybrid, So anyways, the Santa Fe up 16%, probably, getting rid of that excess volume of the older model. Sonata up 2%. That's surprising because you'll see the K5 is down. But the Sonata is down 18% on the year, but we saw a recovery here on February. Tucson up 14% for that record month, and Venue down 23%. Unfortunate because people need cheap cars. Venue could be that cheap car for people, but Hyundai's not making a lot of them. Last one we're going to talk about is Kia. Kia doing some good things overall, but they're actually down on the month. Kia's sales of EV models continue to climb up 65% year over year through February with the launch of the EV9. Okay, some record setters for the month are the Carnival up 48%, which is great. We're going to be getting a hybrid Carnival soon with 242 horsepower. I think it's a 6-speed auto, not dual clutch, which is great. Sportage up 18%, and Forte had a best February ever, up 8%. Okay, so let's get. They don't give us percentages here, so we'll just glance and see what's doing well. Kia EV9 already sold 1,300 units for February and 2,700 units for the year so far. EV6 is barely positive for the month and barely positive for the year. We saw that the Ioniq 5 was down a little bit. Why didn't I see Ioniq 6? Did I pass up Ioniq 6? Oh, there it is. I did pass up Ioniq 6. Don't know. Oh, because I passed over Robotaxi. But Ioniq 6 has sold 902 on the month and 1,600 on the year. It's a very, very good car. Good deals to be had on it right now. Rio getting smashed. Where's the Rio? People need cheap cars. Hyundai not giving us a venue. Kia not giving us a Rio. But guess what? The Rio has been canceled. So it's probably just the last of its inventory. There have been rumors that the K3, so I think that's what it's called, the K3 could replace the Rio. We'll see. But where's Kia's affordable cars? Essentially, the Forte has become its entry-level model now. And the Forte is doing well, selling 11,000 units in February, 20,000 units so far in the year. K5, it's down like 50% on the month and down maybe 40% on the year. It's not looking good for the K5. We saw that the Sonata had a boost for February, but the Sonata just got a refresh, right? So maybe that's what's going on. The Soul, again, people need cheap cars. The Soul's getting hammered, down about 1,500 units here, and down 3,000 units on the year. Kia Niro, it's a very affordable hybrid. It's like kind of like this Corolla Cross and Prius Fighter at the same time. That's down, and we need more hybrids. We need more efficiency and more affordability, and it's just not there. Seltos up really high. Good. I really like that small compact crossover, subcompact crossover. Sportage, their number one seller now, is just killing it. Sorrento is doing well too on the year. Telluride is down a little bit. Demand is still there, but they're just not able to produce as many as they would like. Did I talk about Palisade last time? Palisade is finally getting some volume increases. That's good to see. Palisade is made in, I believe, Korea, and the Telluride is made in North America, if I remember correctly. Carnival, doing well. We mentioned having the best February ever. So Kia has some high spots and some really interesting spots with the drops on the Niro, drops on the K5, drops on the Rio. Once they get that volume back up, they'll be crushing it, but people need cheap cars, and their cheapest cars right now seemingly are not getting the volume they need. Any big surprises for you? Finally seeing Prius sales return. Hybrid sales doing well for all of the brands is really good to see, and their volume is it's not even close on hybrids to getting to like meeting market demand. I still believe market demand. I think most buyers right now, I think 75% of the market, I think, would take a hybrid on their everyday commuting vehicle, a Corolla, an Accord, a Civic, a Tucson. I think the majority of people in a commuter car, just your everyday car, would probably take a hybrid for the efficiency gains, the smoothness gains, and sometimes the added power as well, especially in Honda and Toyota models. So anyways, I'm going to shut it down there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you tomorrow with my Sunday EV news roundup video. It'll be a long one like this. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.